Hey, what's going on, guys, and welcome back to yet another edition of Monster Taming Games That You Never Knew, where we introduce new upcoming monster taming titles to the channel and briefly explore them accordingly. This time around, we have a pretty interesting lineup, including a very wacky title, a card-based game that veterans to the channel will likely know of, but newbies may not, a game in the same vein as something like Monster Rancher, and more. So as per the usual, make sure to sit back, relax, and let's dive right in. Alright, so the first game on this list is one inspired by Monster Rancher that takes place in a futuristic setting, that being Biomancer, a title that is described as follows: a sci-fi monster taming and battling turn-based strategy game for the PC. In this game, you can raise, train, splice, and fight a variety of unique creatures to become the strongest Biomancer in the galaxy. The game's looking pretty good, and you can sort of train up various monsters' stats, just like you would in Monster Rancher, and then instead of going into real-time battles, you'll be able to go into turn-based battles. Definitely something to be keeping our eyes on, especially for the monster raising enthusiasts. Okay, so this next game doesn't have an official name just yet because it is very early development, but I couldn't help but include it on this list because of how good it looks for the current stage it's in. This game is being created by a developer who goes by the name @MarioMess on Twitter and is inspired by Pokemon, but more specifically the recent Johto redrawn phenomena that has sort of taken Twitter by storm. If you don't know what it is, basically people are taking Johto and Kanto and redesigning them to look not too dissimilar to the style we see here. From what I could tell, the game will have a Pokemon-esque combat system, though we don't know much outside of that. It just looks really cool, so I wanted to showcase it. Okay, next we have quite the interesting concept in the form of Pizzamon, a fantasy RPG where you fight in battle utilizing pizza-related creatures in order to compete and ultimately conquer the chef championships. This game plays similarly to Pokemon in that there are grand chefs that act as gym leaders and will give you badges upon defeat. We also have a list of features here as well, which goes as follows: a wide variety of Pizzamon, each with their own ability, stats, and quirks that you can choose to be your champion, a massive landmass to explore and a world of things to discover, a wide variety of enemies to face and bosses to defeat, over 100 items, toys, maps, and more, a bunch of mini games, the opportunity to go on a treasure hunt to find awesome loot, a game that keeps what made retro RPGs great but has been modified to the current times, and a scripted dialogue that progresses during your adventure to be the Grand Chef. Definitely an interesting title, to say the least. Next up is a game that you may know from the earlier days of the channel, back when there was more frequent updates, that being Ploxmons, a monster taming card battler with some really damn good monster art. The game is currently on an extended holding period, and we don't know when the game will bounce back, but essentially Ploxmons features a PvPvE environment where you essentially have two players go up against a single boss monster, or a Plox boss, and are competing to destroy it. You can sabotage each other in order to steal the win, but you must also remember to take these Plox bosses seriously or they will wreck you. Honestly, a really cool and unique concept for the genre, and I do hope that eventually it does get back on track. And finally, last but not least, we have Weirdlands, a really neat title inspired by the Final Fantasy, Undertale, and Earthbound franchises that takes place in a strange magical land that the player character stumbled upon via a portal during a lockdown crisis. In this world, you can recruit any enemy you fight, combine their spirits in order to make unique combinations, and explore a world with, and I quote, a huge amount of love to uncover. Some of the game's core features include multiple endings over multiple new games, multiple solutions to puzzles, optional content and bosses, countless secrets, a huge amount of spirits to catch, and more. And there you go, guys. Those were another 5 monster taming games to add to the ever-growing list. Don't forget to let me know in the comments how many games out of the 5 that you already knew existed and which were new to you. All relevant social media for the games mentioned will be linked below, so definitely check out the games that interest you. And that said, if you are a fan of the monster taming genre, definitely subscribe to the channel. I put out new videos every single day. You can also check me out on Twitter, check out my Discord, my Patreon, all links below. Special thanks to my patrons, especially Jim Hamilton, Steel Case, Dro Ghost, and Dark Persona. And with that, we'll see you guys next time. Peace.